Sashiburi ni. Are we up and running here? Looks good, looks good, looks good. Audio check. Can you hear me now? I think so. I see nobody here. Are we okay or something wrong? Everybody's up. Good, good, good. Sizing. Yeah, Sashiburi de shou. Been quite a while, a year or so since I've done a sizing stream. I've tried to reorganize things a little bit differently here. I've moved the computer and everything else to try and get a better flow of this. Yeah, long time. Okay, what's going to happen here is this. Once I get started here, I will be turning on the heat over there. So the camera at the moment is pointing towards the gas table. I'll cook up the size. I'll bring it back, put it in here, and then we'll move the cameras around and get going on it. As far as how am I? I'm fine, totally okay. I had my first shot of the vaccine 3 days ago, Friday. Totally okay, beautifully well organized. It was like I was a tiny cog in a wonderful machine. Click, 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 click. Japanese do this really well. Very, very well organized. I was responsible for making the thing 15 seconds too late. The next person had to wait 15 seconds. Well, whatever. I hadn't read the instructions carefully enough, so we'll talk about that later. But I got the vaccine and I'm totally okay. Nothing. No reaction so far. No nothing. No fever. No aches and pains. No nothing. So John's got. Once the Japanese are good at stuff. They're good at logistics and whatever. Once everybody's on board, of course. We've gone from like 0% vaccinated last week to it'll be 100% next week or something. I don't know. Anyway, let's get to work. Okay, what we've got here today, I've got, I think, about 30 sheets. This is not a huge batch of paper today, so it may not go the full 90 minutes or whatever. Those of you who've seen sizing streams before know what's going to happen. I'm going to cook the thing first, move the camera, apply the top side of the paper, flip it over, apply the back side of the paper. And then we have to shut the stream off while I take all the cameras and move them into the next room where I'll be hanging it. And I'm here myself, well, Cameron's not here, so there will be a gap of 2, 3, 4 minutes. That'll happen about 45 minutes or an hour from now. I should have actually, I think Taran-san is coming over this morning, and I should have been smart enough to tee it up so that he could have come over early this morning and helped me with that part of it, but I wasn't smart enough to think about that in advance. Oh, Taran-san's here this morning. Good. Nee, it's my own fault, Taran-san. I should have thought about that, but whatever. Okay, let's get to this. So I'm going to go over there and do the cooking, and while I'm doing the cooking, I cannot see the stream, I can't talk to you, I can't do anything. So for the next 5 or 10 minutes, you're on your own while I cook it up, and then bring it back here. There's 2.5 liters of water in the big pot, and 1/2 liter in the small pot, and it's been in there since last night. 150 grams of glue have been soaking in the big pot over the night. Okay, anyway, let's get this going. そうか。
ちょっとお水だけ。
Okay. どうぞ。
すいません。
そうだ。いいつけ。
あれ？映ってるの。
ちょっとはい。
ごめん。
You're a movie star.
すいません。ごめんなさい。
Hey, come here. You cut your hair.
切りました。
そうですか。
バッサリ。
She has a new hairdo. I noticed. I don't believe it.
すいません。ちょっとカメラ本当に映って。
Okay. はい。She's just washing up her stuff before she gets started.
ちょうどお水変えるとき。始まる前にやるのかった。10分ぐらいかな。10分ぐらい。はい。大事な時間だ。
The water she's been using, she's put in her bucket the water for the stream. It's filtered. Thanks, Susan. Okay, thank you. That white tap thing. The water comes normally out the tap. Before we use it, it gets taken back through a hose. There's 2 hoses here. I don't know how it works. There's actually 2 hoses here. So the water comes up normally through the system, then goes down the hose into the filter, back up through the hose, and out through this thing. So we're using filtered water for all of our print making, for washing the brushes, for putting in the bucket, for making the size, all this stuff. Any water that touches the print making is filtered. I said washing brushes, that's not true. Washing brushes, it is to use the normal hot water coming out of it. Okay, anyway, like I said, take care of yourself for a couple of minutes here while I go and cook that size. Oops. I will be back here in front of you. I don't know if you can hear my voice from over there, I don't know. No idea. day long. Masks on, masks off, masks on, masks off. Okay, this is the stuff, the glue mixture we're using. It's granulated mikawa. I think you can hear me probably. Can? Testing, testing. I think you can. It's granulated mikawa. It's an animal product. It's made from bones and hides and rendered whatever, whatever. It's very consistent group to group. We no longer use what's called sanzenbon, the sticks of glue. They're way too inconsistent. They're different, every one. Some are strong, some are weak. So we use the granulated glue. I'm making 3 liters today, so I put 150 grams of this stuff inside it. Also going in there is alum. I don't know if we can see this. It's little tiny, like little balls. Little tiny crystal balls. It's alum. And 15% of the Nikawa. So if I had 150 grams of Nikawa glue, in here is 22, 23 grams of alum. And we're going to heat this one to about 50, 60, and we're going to heat the small one to nearly boiling to quickly dissolve the alum. I said Nikawa, I'm sorry, that's the glue part, gelatin I guess. Keep it stirring, Dave, don't let it stick. Okay, the little one's almost boiling, so in it goes. It's completely transparent, so we can't see when it's dissolved, but I can feel it. I can feel the crumbles, the grains in the bottom of the pan. And once I can't feel it anymore, in they go. So we now have our full complement, 3 liters of water with 150 grams of Nikawa and 22, 23 grams of alum. And the target is about 50 degrees. And we are almost there. Ooh, we are there. If I hadn't pre-soaked the glue, there's no way we'd be able to do that so quickly. But it was soaking all night long. So. Here's the part where I spill 3 liters of glue on the floor. Well, Cameron's up. Good morning, Cameron San. Not too bad of a mailbox this morning for Monday. Not too bad. Cables everywhere. Trip over the cable. 3 liters of glue. Wouldn't that be fun? I'm not going to put it all in. It would be too deep for my brush if I did that. Okay, let's set the camera here. What's a good angle for doing this? Let's try this. The brush was washed, but we don't wash it so hard and vigorously that all the glue is gone. So there's a bit of a glue residue from last time. She can soak for a couple of minutes there. Okay, maybe, let's see, if I move the video here, hang on a sec, what's the best way to do this? If I move this over to that blank corner, does that make sense? So you can see what's going on here now. There's the table where it's going to happen. There's the glue, it's going to come straight out. Computer's in the way. Down at the left is the in tray. And the camera at the end, you can see. There's a camera at the end there, looking down on the whole row. The strainer, we're using it, it's a double strainer. One is it's a basket, it's like a basket that you use to pull your french fries and stuff out of the oil, but that's too big of a grid. So inside the basket we have one of those kitchen strainers, you know, that goes into your drain when you pour stuff down the drain. So the net strainer, that's a drain strainer, whatever it's called, that's inside the main basket. So it's double strained, it's pretty good. I'm on a hot carpet here. This is the thing we're talking about, the glue mixture. I've been using 50 grams now. I am. John's asking me right now. The hot carpet is on, even though we're into summer. And we are now going to be using this all the time, all the year long, to try and make this as stable as possible. We work through the whole winter using a summer value. We usually use 50-60 in the summer, down to 30 in winter, up to 50-60 in the summer again. This winter I didn't go down. I stayed at 50 grams all the way through. 50-55. I kept it up and down, up and down, up and down. So we're going to keep the hot table now all the time. All the time. And the paper too. The paper has been under here for an hour. I turned the hot table on about an hour ago. This plate was warming up. It was flipped over. The paper has been under here. Now can I get this out of here without... And today we're using, what's the best way? This is half. The other half is in there. This is a sheet of paper this big. I don't have a brush that big, so we have cut this in half today. I did indeed get vaccinated, and my arm so far is not sore at all. The vaccination was Friday, it's now Monday, and I had, honestly speaking, absolutely zero side effects. Zero. And I didn't even feel it go in. She fooled me. I didn't even feel a thing, literally. I'm waiting for her to do it, and she said, come on, let's go, next person's waiting. And I'm like, when are you going to do it? It's done, go. She fooled me. Actually, this is going to be a bit clumsy. I have to stand right where the camera is. I think I'm going to pull the camera a bit and zoom it. So excuse me a second, I'm going to move the camera just a bit farther back. I think there's enough cable. That's okay, that's okay, that's okay. Yeah, I'm going to move the camera just a tad back. That's not good. Is that better? We'll try this and see how it works. I've got to be able to stand there. Start using a GoPro on my helmet to show. So, okay, let's give this a go. Paper's ready, size is ready, everything's ready. I might block this for a second while I get the... Can we see it all? Okay. This is thick and heavy paper today. This is the Takenaga paper. How did I do this last year? How did I do this? And the paper today is for 2 printing jobs. We need a batch of Chibihiro's prints. We're low on a couple of months of those. And then most of this paper you see today, this is going to go for the Patreon chibis. The design came from John Amos a couple of months ago. Taran-san carved it for us. Kawai-san at the moment is doing a test printing. And this is the paper, or the paper for the first batch. We're going to need hundreds and hundreds of sheets. I'm not happy with the camera layout here, you know. Not happy with the camera. Let's try and move this. Is that better? Out of the way. Here. If I move this back, just give me a minute to experiment with this. You got it. Huh?
あ、場所が変わった。
なんか、
あ、本当だ。こっち。
私ね。
うん。ここね、動作やるところの。
そう、そう。That should do it. That should do it.
そう。
Can I do it? I don't know. We'll play around with this. Well, that's a joke coming up.
紙が。え、どれ？それ何？
竹長の。
竹長？
そう。
熱っ。
そう、次のだから本当にあったなったなった。
本当だ。
うん。ちょっと構造、ちょっと竹長から引いて錦入れて。
バランスが。
うんうん。
本当に。本当だ。それとまたさの。
あれはもうできた。あれももうできた。
あ、もうできたんですか。
今向こうに挟んである。
ああ、そうなんだ。え、それは誰の分ですか。
今これは Mr. K、パトリオンチビとつしみさんチビヒロス。
ああ、そっか。
ここでその紙は向こうだから今日用意します。
あ、本当。す
OK。
ごい。
頑張ってますよ。
素晴らしい。よかった。早い。
The paper is thick, thick, thick. I was telling her, you know, the paper quality really, it's sort of whatever. It's good paper. It's all over the map. But recently, the thickness and thinness has been sort of out of control. And if we say make it a bit thinner, then the next time the paper comes, it's like tissue paper. But the keyboard, it's a plastic cover. I'm trying to make my MacBook last as long as I possibly can. So it has its own Durex protection. You may notice this brush matches exactly the paper. This is no coincidence. We built the brush. You can't buy these anymore. So Aoyama-san made this brush out of two smaller ones. I'm asking Suga-san and I, she's okay. She's taking her mask off, but if she comes back in, we both mask. You mask on, mask off, mask on, mask off, isn't it? So she's 2 rooms away, so no mask is okay かな。でも本当に変でしょ。今バーバーバーバー出てるでしょ。で近くなったらすぐマスクでも空気の中にあんまり意味ないかわからないよ。It doesn't make much sense, right? I'm sitting here, assuming I had a virus, I would be spewing it all around the room. So it's all in the air. She comes close, we both put our masks on, but the room is full of it. I don't know. Anyway, you do what you can do. You do what you got to do. The brush here is goat, absolutely goat. Well, here in Japan, even people who are vaccinated now, they're still wearing masks. There's going to be no difference. This is going to be, I think pretty clearly now here in Japan, it's going to be 100% mask culture now for the foreseeable future. Even once all the seniors are vaccinated, that's scheduled for the end of July. Then the next group, even come the fall when most people are vaccinated, my projection, my guess is absolutely, it's still going to be total mask culture. Maybe in the house or in offices, people may or may not, but anywhere outside, anywhere, trains, walking along the street, shopping, it's going to be masks everywhere. I don't think it'll be a government mandate, it'll be just simply that that's what people want to do. No, this is goat hair. It is very, very, very soft. We use goat hair brushes for all of our paper moistening. It's just super soft. I know the company we bought them from, Miyagawa, they also make a lot of makeup brushes. And people are doing like whatever stuff with their face with these goat hair brushes. That's their biggest business now, not printmaking brushes. Getting pretty good at this, getting it smooth. When I first started to do it, it was too much, too little. It was all over the place. Getting better at this, feeling the thickness of the paper. If the paper was thicker or thinner, that affects at this point. I'm dipping fluff in the brush, then how much liquid I knock off and how much I leave on. I can't tell you in words, but it's enough to get to the end of the paper okay. And you can tell actually by the weight of the brush once you get doing this for a while. I can pick up the brush, dip off, pick it up. Oop, the brush feels a little bit too light. Get it back in there and get a bit more. what you're seeing here, actually the sheet of paper, there's going to be 18 finished prints on this. They're in rows of 3 by 6. These will be chibi prints. And out of each one of these sheets, we're going to be getting 18 prints. If we have too much alum, then the pigment doesn't go inside. You end up with paper that has a sort of a shiny, reflective, speckledy surface. The coating on the surface of the paper gets too strong, and no matter how well you moisten it or how well you try and print, the pigments don't go well inside the paper. Too little alum is not so bad, but too much alum is fatal, fatal, fatal. I kept it under to keep warm. In Japan, hake is a generic word for brush. It doesn't tell you much about the shape. This is a hake. It's a dosa bake, dosa hake. Hake for sizing. But these kind of brushes, these are also called hake. This is maru bake, round brush. So hake for us is a generic term, general term. It's a bit too close to the tank here, and I can't quite get a good starting stroke, but whatever, we're okay. Well, you guys are moving quickly, and I'm missing most of this. Every time it goes by, it touches the mic cable. As you can see, the mic cable is right here, and it's getting a touch of glue every time I go by. I'm gonna have to wash it. I'm going to knock over the camera, but I think the floor here, it's a very old building and the floor has weak spots. So I think if I step in various places, the camera seems okay. There is a show and tell planned for the end of this stream, and I'll probably be struggling because we'll be doing it in the next room. And the light won't be so good, but whatever, we'll show it. It'll be an opening too, it'll be an unboxing show and tell. Some prints came in last night. Actually, I have no choice. I had planned something else for the show and tell today, but this package arrived yesterday and it's an escrow package. So if I don't check off today, the guy doesn't get paid. So I have to open it. It's interesting stuff. It's fun stuff, but the light is not going to be good for it. So maybe we'll expose it today, and then at the next show and tell when I'm at a better light bench, a better bench for light, we'll look at it more closely. And I use the expression too much, but I'll hold on to your socks. It's another good one. So. I lost so many auctions last week. Stuff that, oh, I've got to get that. How much? Oh my God. I lost so much last week. Prices are just, I don't even want to talk about it. It's one of two ways. It's stuff that nobody else is interested in that I get for $10. Or it's everybody's interested and away it goes and I'm out of the game. And the one we're going to look at today, it was on an auction just last week and it was misdescribed. It's a package of 126 woodblock prints and the guy didn't know what it was. So he didn't describe it well. And it turned out that meant not too many people got onto it and I was able to get it. It's also in what seems to be very bad condition, and when people would look and say, oh my God, I don't want this. Dave here, we know how to fix it, and we're going to fix it, not today, we're going to fix it using this bucket of hot water. I didn't lose it because you never had it. How are you going to use the word? Okay, I get your point. I understand your point, of course. Well, we say win an auction and lose an auction, right? It's a game, Bishop. I lose the game. It's okay. I'm trying not to be too acquisitive here, collecting junk. Oh, last sheet. We're on our last sheet. This is the top side last sheet. So that means we're halfway through stage 1 here. Okay, we have to flip it and do the back. We've just been stacking them up. Glue, stack, glue, stack, glue, stack. When you see this for the first time, it's like, why don't they stick together? This is hot glue on pieces of paper. Why don't they stick together? Well, it's not that strong a mix. Although having said that, the mix in here, if I dip my, it's hot. If I dip, it is sticky. My fingers stick together. So if my fingers stick together, why doesn't the paper? Okay, here we go, flip. Are you ready? Over we go. This is out of the camera vision, isn't it? Hang on a sec. I'm running out of space to do this. This is our board. You can see the back side of the board then. Okay. They're all flipped. They're now face down, and number 1 is back up on top. I'm going to put this over at the side on the hot carpet again. The plate comes back. It's really quite warm now. It's had hot paper all over it. It's got a glue line. That's okay, because we're going to have the same size of paper. And these sheets are not wet. This is wet paper, so we have to treat this carefully. We're struggling a bit because these are large sheets of paper, and also I've got the computer in the way, of course. That's taking up most of my space. Normally it's paper and paper side by side. We're okay. Okay, now, how much liquid? The paper is somewhat full, so I don't use the same dip. I'm dipping, knock off once, knock off twice. So there's less liquid in the brush now. I taped it down. I thought I taped it down. I guess I missed with the tape. Look at that. Tried to tape it so it wouldn't slide. Win some, lose some. Back in Omagh, I could never have used sheets this large. The sink space was nowhere near this big. And we are now limited by the size of our hot tub here. So I said we made the brush to fit this paper, but we also had to keep in mind the depth of our hot plate here. So I did use the green tape and I was careless. Okay, something else about the flip. I don't know if you noticed what happened. I have flipped the paper this way, not that way. So before I started on the top side of the paper, I started at the right and moved to the left. And ideally it will be perfectly smooth, but almost always more liquid comes out at the front. So by flipping it this way on the back now, I'm starting at what was the tail end before. And ideally, because I'm a bit clumsy with this, that will help balance out the amount of actual liquid through the body of the paper. If I were a perfectly good, wonderful craftsman at this, it wouldn't make any difference because the moisture would be smooth all the time. I'm close, but whatever. Have I ever used the hot plate to keep my coffee warm? Well, we don't drink coffee while we're working, but whatever. It's a hot carpet. It's supposed to be housewives in a Japanese kitchen, which would have no heating. They put these carpets on the floor in front of their stove and sink and stuff. So as they walk around their kitchen back and forth, their little tootsies stay warm. They're dirt cheap, and it runs at very, very low power. I think it's 120 watts or something, or even less actually, I think. And it does the job for this just perfectly. So this is a permanent feature of our setup here. Doesn't say how many watts. It's on the back, I guess. Both sides are sized, and it seems, again, we're following tradition here, but as far as we can understand it seems for different reasons. When our size is too weak on the front side of the paper, when the printers are printing, they find that paper fibers pull up and pull away. So the basic function of the glue is to give the paper physical strength, not to tear apart as they are printing it. The back side is easier to understand. If the sizing is too weak on the back side, then as we are physically rubbing the back of it as we're printing, it starts to tear up. So really basically the core function of this thing is to add physical strength to the paper so it can survive the severe pressures of the printing process. The paper is moistened for printing, we slam it onto blocks, we peel it off, we rub the back of it. Natural paper without sizing is simply too weak for that. the function of the alum is not quite so clear. It seems, and we've tested this a little bit with not really any effect, it seems that the alum supposedly helps avoid pigment spread, nijimu. What's it called? I don't know, when you dip something here and it blots out into the surrounding area. I'm not sure the English word would be suitable. And alum seems to suppress that. We did some tests a while ago. The numbers and stuff are all up on the wall here, changing different glue levels, changing different alum levels. And all we found was that we have a really quite wide range. Too much alum kills it. Not so much alum, we're still okay. These are going to be cut down. This will be cut into 9 pieces, and each of those pieces will make a double print. So after the printing is finished, they will be cut once more. So there will be 18 prints from each one of these each one of these sheets. And these were cut. I cut them this morning before we started. So there's actually 36 prints coming from one sheet of paper. And these are not prints for sale. These are, I can't say freebies, they're the prints that go to our Patreons. These are the Patreon chibi prints that were supposed to be shipped in May, I guess. People are so patient, so kind. I'm making a giant table-sized lasagna, Greek food kind of layer. I should be putting meat in between all the layers. Lasagna stream. If I left these things, of course they will stick together. If they dried, that's it, they're finished. But they will start to stick together. When I did the batch the other day, I did a batch of paper for the Great Wave, and we're doing 60. I split it 30-30. I put 30 under there to heat, did the top 30, top side 30, flip, back side 30, and I hung them up. If I had done top side 60, back side 60, when I come to peel them apart, they have been there too long and they are starting to stick together. I learned this the hard way. Keeping them on the hot table warmer helps that. It helps them last a bit longer before they really start to stick together, but it's also kind of dangerous. This is now glue in paper on a hot table, and if we just left it too long, it'll start to get moldy while we watch. So today I'm doing, I forget how many sheets I'm doing. Has anybody been counting? How many sheets are here? I'll have to look back in my notebook to find out. Hit to me. Just a second. Well, there are 12 sheets here. So this is 24. It's 12 and 12. And that's about what I would like to do, up to about 30 sheets at a time. Size them, hang them, size them, hang them. Absolutely, they will stick together. Also, for people that never saw one of these slicing streams before, what we're using for the liquid here, it's a hotel double boiler. Well, maybe I'll zoom out when we're done here. You can see what's going on. The glue is in the top here, and at the bottom it's hot water. So these bins are sitting on hot water. And the idea is, if you were on a hotel buffet or something, there would be soup inside here. I bought it over at Kapabashi, the restaurant supply shop just down the street here. The guy's like, "You starting up a restaurant?" And we're like, "Nope." Actually, we had a little bit of a custom job on it. The one we saw in the shop had, instead of long trays, it had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 smaller trays. And it was designed for oden, the Japanese bar food, where there's different kinds of small, where you're having a bowl of oden, you pick one of these, 2 of these, 1 of these. So it was designed with 8 small little compartments, and we custom ordered 2 long ones. And that took us a while to make. Like I said, they had to make them actually. They were in the catalog, so it wasn't a silly order from our point. They were in the catalog, but apparently nobody buys those. They all buy smaller. You can buy 8, 4, 6. You can mix and match. No, the glue mix is in, it's in metal. It's a double compartment. There's a big box with hot water at the bottom. Then sitting in the hot water, with the hot water coming up partway, are 2 metal buckets. and the glue is inside the metal bucket. There's no contact between the glue and the water. It's a double boiler, I think it's called. It's hot water underneath, and that keeps the glue at the perfect temperature. And this model is heated electrically, so the hot water has an electric heater under it. So it's perfect. It keeps the glue at a very, very constant temperature. It doesn't get too hot, doesn't get too cold. Drip, drip, drip. Talk and talk and talk. I should concentrate just a little bit more, you know, Dave. Shiba-san was here last week doing some sizing, you know, we were chatting about it again. Her approach and mine are completely, totally different, you know. You see me moving my body. I move my body down here with this thing because I have no upper body strength. But Shiba-san she just stands there and goes bang. She doesn't move her body. She just does it all with her bicep. And I cannot do that. That's one girl you do not want to arm wrestle with, or at least Dave doesn't want to arm wrestle with her. She's a tough one. So I'm moving my body. So my bicep is locked actually, because I don't have muscles here. I've locked my arm and I'm moving my body, so it's my body weight that's pushing this along. Okay, the last sheet, here we go. Last sheet, last sheet. Okay, now it's going to be some time before I can wash the brush, so the brush is going to go in the water bath. The next to it is hot water. Let's zoom out now then. There's the unit. It's got a temperature control. Down at the side here there's a drain. That's glue, and this is just hot water. I have some more glue in reserve. The glue that was left over today is going to go back into this on a package. Okay, it's time to do the switchover. So I tell you what, I'll do the computer last. So I'm going to turn off some of these cameras here, move the cameras through to the next room first, get them set up. I'll leave that camera here. We'll turn this camera off. That camera's history now. So I will now shut down that camera, move it to the next room, take the paper, move it to the next room, and then make the computer move at the last step. So camera going down, don't panic. What's the best way to do this? That is no longer needed. This is coming out. Okay. Okay, MacBook audio coming up. I believe you couldn't hear me for a minute there, I think, but you can probably hear me now. Testing, can you hear me now? Audio went down, of course, once the camera went down, of course. Okay, okay. Okay, you can see what's going on. Let's try and get this organized here. It's a bit bright behind me. Just hey. Oh, I can't. There's a cable on the door. Maybe we can get away with this. Let's see. A bit quieter microphone level. Let's go up, 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 up. Can you hear me now? I'm using the microphone from the book, which means we're going to hear some fan noise. Okay. Moving right along. Next step is hanging it up. I'm zoomed out as far as it's going to go. If I put the other microphone on too, let's put the microphone, testing, 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 testing. That's the microphone from the camera. I think we're good to go. So, into the shower stall. Okay, there's cables everywhere. This is what we gotta do. Here's the tool. It's a piece of wood with 3 clips. I only have 2 hands. Patented invention here is going to open 3 clips at the same time. But before we do that, the paper at the moment is now face down. Remember, we started with the stack face up. We did the top surface. We flipped the whole stack over one by one. It's now face down. If we hung them up one by one, they will dry too quickly and they will curl. And they will curl quickly. So we want to dry them a little bit slowly. We're going to wrap it in plastic. The doors will all get closed and it will dry as slowly as possible, meaning whatever, over the course of the day. It's a rainy day today. We are in luck. But we don't want to hang them one by one. We hang 2 by 2 and they go back to back. This is face down. So one sheet gets flipped. It is now face up. The second sheet is face down. Out they come. 2 sheets together now, back to back. Patented, not patented. Clip. Up we go, and of course it has hooks, and we have strings waiting for it up on the ceiling. I can't see the chat, but whatever, you guys are taking care of yourself, right? Kill the laptop mic. Testing, testing, testing. Okay. Whatever. We need an engineer here, you know, a stream engineer. And it is in no way stuck together at all. These sheets are wet. They're wet with glue, and they're in no way stuck together. But as we mentioned before, if I wait too long, or if I had too many sheets in the stack, or if the mix was a stronger mix, the ones down at the bottom do indeed start to stick together. There's only one mic on right now. Right now the mic that's on is the camera mic. Well, I don't know, whatever. Okay, you can hear me, right? There's only one mic on right now. It's that mic. It's too far, I can't read it. Just too far. I see my name in lights. Is it screwing up again? Oh, okay. Hi. Flipping the paper. Sorry about that. Okay, roll the tape again. The paper at the moment is face down. We started with the whole deck face up back there in the other room. I did one sheet face up. We flipped the whole thing, and then we pulled it back one sheet face down. We want to hang them up two at a time. We don't want to hang them up one by one. If I just hang up each sheet by itself, there's too much airflow, they dry quickly, and they end up being quite shiwa, quite wrinkled. So we want to hang them up two by two, and the safest way to do that is this. Flip the top sheet. This is face down. The top sheet flips, and it's now back to back with the second sheet. So I'm now pulling two sheets together. It's top sheet and next sheet, and these two sheets are now back to back. So if it turned out that there was some residual stickiness, if they did stick together while they're up there drying, which doesn't really happen but can happen, then the front surface doesn't get damaged. There's two sheets here, and they're wet, but they're not that wet. I don't know if you can see, whatever. They're not stuck together at all. They just hang. They stick together at the clips. The clips are squeezing them together, and the clip points do indeed get stuck together. So tomorrow, when I'm taking this down, I take them down two at a time, and I separate them at the clip point. Speaking about sizing too, I know a few months back, Terry from Karuizawa dropped over. We chatted about sizing. He watched a little bit. We talked about this method, that method, different methods. And I see now in Terry's new book, the book that went online just a week or so ago, a couple of weeks ago. What's it called? Creative Printmaking Result? He talks about sizing in there. He's got his own system, a little bit different from mine. He follows the way that people do it in Kyoto, which is where he learned. And they do multiple passes. They pass. And in our system here, there's no way. We would never ever do that. It's one pass, period. Different tradition. What works for them, what works for us. This is pretty cool actually, you know, we saw today right from the beginning. You know, the only part of this you missed was me putting the glue into the water last night. And there's nothing exotic about that. Simply I measured up the water, measured up the glue and dumped it in before I went to bed last night. That's the only part of this that you have now missed. This is going to be one of those upcoming videos. Cameron and the gang here, they did that video on how to make hakobi. And coming up is going to be a video on how to do the sizing. I will be the guest. Cameron and Aoyama-san will be making the video. And I will be the guinea pig guest. Subi-san was the guest on the last one, making hakobi. I think the next video is explaining her workbench. And then I'm not sure how much of the schedule is already defined. And then maybe after that, Cameron and Aoyama-san will visit while I do one of these sizing things. And they will make a video about the sizing. I'll be the guest. Enjoy your steam bath. It's moist in there. It's a rainy day today. This is perfect. This is perfect. We really want this stuff to dry as slowly as possible. There's strings. Now you can see the strings running along the roof all the way. Last week we had this full. Shiba-san had her paper here. I had my paper. We had the whole rack full one day last week. Okay, show and tell. How are we going to do this? Show and tell. How are we going to do this? Let's see. Give me a minute to set this up here. If we have a stand for the object there, excuse me. Earthquake coming while I move the camera. Plug, stay in. I think we've got everything plugged in. Okay, what do we do with this? We don't need this here. Is that going to do it? I get cables everywhere here. This should do it if I can avoid tripping over everything. Now what about the microphone now? The microphone is right beside, I can clip it on. If I clip it on, we should be back to a normal microphone sound. Testing, testing. Can you hear me now? Okay, the light is terrible here for looking at woodblock prints. But that's not the idea. How's our time? It's 9:15. Can you, have I got, no way. 9:15, give me a break. Let's do this. As I said, this was on Yahoo Auctions just a few days ago. it would have been Wednesday or Thursday, I guess, the person who put it up didn't know what they had. They described it as nikushitsu, as small paintings from the Meiji era. These are actually woodblock prints. They are known objects. We have some of the same prints in this package already. They are the kind of woodblock prints that were made in the genre, we've called this before, seen it before. They're called teihon. Drawing samples. Once public education started in the Meiji time, there needed to be a way for teachers. This is all torn up. It's all bits and pieces. So let's just look at it in bits and pieces. Before public education started, teaching was done at the temples, what they call teragoya. And it's one teacher, a guy, with 10, 12 pupils, boys. Come along the Meiji era, and full education came into place. They built schools. Girls also went to school, and they needed teachers. They hired all kinds of people to become teachers. These teachers could teach the normal stuff, the Japanese language and things like that. But when it came to the special items, how are they going to teach art? How are they going to teach this? How are they going to teach that? So these kind of books were prepared in the bajillions of copies. These are teihon. These are actually woodblock prints, but the idea was that the kids would be using them in the art class to learn how to draw. The teacher would pass out sheets like this. The kids would sit there with their paper, and they would try and imitate the brush strokes that they saw in these things. It was a picture sample book, and they were made in the bajillions of copies. There wouldn't be one for every kid in the classroom, but there would be one of these in every classroom, and they were refreshed and replaced. And we have here a collection that somebody has made. It wasn't published in this form. They were published as single sheets or in books of 10 or 12, but somebody has gathered together a bunch of them and pasted them into this album. And the auction said there's 129 copies, and I can believe them because we have a crap load of woodblock prints here. Look at this. These are all simple, beautiful, clean woodblock prints. A handbook or whatever, yeah. Some of you who know our work, you've seen this one before, because I have another copy of this at home, and I stole it. I'm opening this for the first time. We've just opened it, so I don't know what's inside it. We have newspaper backing. Look at this. What's the date on the newspaper? Oh, look at this. The person, he's clipped newspaper clippings of similar stuff. Look at this. So the person has put this collection together. He's obviously somebody interested in this sort of thing. And he's put newspaper clippings in here. Okay, here's our date for this album. Showa 10, the 7th month, the 28th day. So that's when this particular album was roughly put together. The prints, the woodblock prints, date from the late Meiji time. But this album has put together in Showa 10. There's no way we're going to be able to see it all. Let's just flip through and see some of the treasures that are in here. And everything you see here today is a woodblock print, even though they, of course, seem sometimes to be brush paintings. We've got this one in our catalog. Let's just flip through here. This is all new to me. The album itself is not preserved well. Look at this. They've been glued down. Can you see it? They've been glued down and they've shrunk. So Dave's decision here is to whether to throw this thing in a bath of hot water and release all these prints from the album backing. We've talked about this before. We have the same problem all the time. To save the prints, we need to destroy the album object. Yeah, I'll be releasing them, I think, because again, the album is something that was just made casually. The album itself has no social value. We will shoot pictures of it so we can show what it was, and then we will release it, because if we don't, these prints are going to absolutely die. they're already dying. Look at this. You can see where the top one was on. Look at this. You can see the line. It's like a matte burn, as though they were framed. So who would have put this together? My guess, and it is only a purely substantial guess, is it would have been a school teacher, somebody who had access to a bunch of these things, and after they were out of use in the classroom, why would he glue them heads and tails? You've got to turn the album upside down to look at each one. And he would have taken a bunch of these home, and here we are. Of course I'll save the clippings. So of course I'm not going to, when I say destroy it, simply we'll be cutting the thing here, and each one of these sheets will be soaked off the backing sheet, and they're glued on both sides. They're glued on both sides. We'll keep the clippings, of course. And like I'm talking about, this is like something I'm going to do this afternoon. It's not going to happen for years. We have so many of these things now stacked up. It's not great art. None of this is great art. It's simple and clean. And there's big names here. I do not recognize all of these hunko, but the names, every now and then we're flipping through this and we will see the names of well-known Meiji era illustrators. I can't read them all, but many of the top illustrators of the day did this kind of work. So there, imagine you're in this situation. You've got your brush on your desk and your little watercolor set, and you were trying to practice. And away you go. Just try and copy what you see. And I can easily understand the person who had this book, how he didn't understand that they're woodblock prints, because they look like watercolor paintings, of course. Someone's asking about the David Bull Woodblock Print History Museum. The Moko Hong Kong collection is what it's called. Part of it's online with 1,000 items already online. If you go to the mokohongkong.com website, look for the collection. You will see the first 1,000 items already online. And the current plan is that we will have a physical facility here in this building, perhaps on the first floor and perhaps on the second floor. We're still struggling with how to physically work out what to do. Rocks, rocks, rocks. They would have done it by theme. It would have been like, today we're going to practice rocks. Today we're going to practice bamboo leaves. Stuff like that, trees. This is the way they learned how to draw. You learned objects first. I think one of the early ones was bamboo leaves. That was an early one. And then you moved on from bamboo leaves to something else. You did it object by object by object. And then you would make a scene assembling the little pieces that you had already learned how to do. You've learned some rock drawing, you've learned some tree drawing, some bamboo drawing, and then you start to make scenery using the pieces that you've learned. They still do it this way. Any bookstore, NHK does this. NHK has TV programs on elementary brush drawing. Textbook 1, bamboo leaves. Page 2, rocks. It just goes on and on. Oh, this is much more complicated. Look at this one. Whoa, much more complex. This is an actual real thing. Whoa, what's this? Oh, I see. This has been done. This is fun. This is done the same way we do ours. There's no white paint here. The white you're seeing is the paper showing through. And the brush, the watercolor people would have done it the same way. The watercolor people would have done it this way. You have to leave that white area, painting in the dark grays with your brush, and leaving the white alone. There's no white paint involved here, either on the woodblock side How's this guy's horse compare? Look at this. This is a woodblock print, you know. Look at the dark grays, the difference. The gradation down, the dark grays here. This is a woodblock print. How many layers? How many gradations? Is it a donkey? I think it's a horse, actually. I think it's a horse. Not quite sure. I don't think donkeys were common in Japan for this sort of thing, but I don't know. Not sure. Not an argument I would want to make. Look at this minimal. Look at this. Is that where you would put the stamp, the seal, if you were sealing this? Whoa, I don't think that's where I would have put my name. But what do I know? Mount Fuji, I don't know. You tell me. I don't think so. I think if it was Mount Fuji, it would have been more of a sweep here, and I don't think he would have put his seal up on the mountain. I think it's just a generic image. By the way, all the things we're looking at here, we're going page by page by page. Remember, the back side too is full of them. So we're not even like a fifth of the way through this thing. We're not going to be able to see them all. And getting them off is going to be tons of work, floating them off one by one without tearing them. Well, it's funny, you mentioned about a woodblock printmaker's beginner's work, but I don't know, some of this would be difficult, you know, gradations and smooth printing. I don't think work like this is what I would use if I was teaching a woodblock class. It may be fine for painting, I know nothing about that. But a lot of what you're seeing here is actually not so simple woodblock-wise. Very small areas in a larger canvas, they are difficult to actually print and control properly. So this is not the kind of work you would use for beginners woodblock, absolutely not. So Taran-san wants to help with the peeling. You know, I don't think it's peeling, but yeah, no problem at all. We have so many books now waiting to be, taken off the backboards. So many books. And we've also been asked to do it on stream, and I'm not going to do that on stream because it's difficult to do and it's really easy to destroy the print. It's not something I'm going to give a tutorial for on stream. I could say, don't try this at home, but people are going to try it at home and they will destroy prints. It's kind of hack work, but whatever, it's fun. That doesn't look Japanese to me, that looks very European influenced. Much more of a European influence. This is late Meiji, and there's all kinds of influences coming in now. The thing about soaking them off, the number one thing, absolutely, well, there's two or three things. Number one is, are the pigments safe? A lot of the prints, the pigments are not safe for soaking. If you have Meiji era prints with bright red or purple or deep blue, they are not safe and you're hosed. Once those are glued on backboard, there's basically nothing you can do. The kind of pigments we're seeing here are actually all water safe. We will be able to put this thing in warm water without disturbing the pigments. But that's number one. Any given print you may have there may or may not be safe. The second thing is what kind of glue was used. If it was just normal rice paste, which is really common in Japan, then you're okay, because that softens in water and it separates easily. If they use some kind of actual glue, more like a Nikawa glue, then you could possibly be in trouble. The question then is, which is stronger, the washi paper or the paper it was glued on? And if washi is usually very, very strong, and if it's glued onto a weak paper that falls apart in water, then you're good to go. You can put it in warm water longer, and you simply wait until the backing paper starts to dissolve. The washi will survive all day long in the warm water. It's okay. So it's those three things. It's the pigments. Oh, look at this one. Steam, I don't know. I really don't know. I have no experience with using steam. That's awfully hot, you know. I don't know. We use a warm water. Not as hot as what I used today for the sizing. Okay, interrupt this program for a moment. We have a book here with pieces of paper in it. We've been collecting these things over the years, and here's an example of one of these things, free. I mean, free from its, here's what we're looking at. It's on a reasonably thin paper. Excuse me. This is not at all high quality Hosho paper. It's a cheap paper. It is mulberry, I think. I don't see any pulp in there. It's a cheap mulberry paper that would have been made in the bajillions of sheets. And there's a copy, and here's the same copy pasted down. Actually, my copy's all just as dirty. My copy's dirtier than the one that's pasted down, so whatever. It's a mouse from the back side to show what's wrong. It's a very nice mouse. It's not an apple. It's a magic hammer. It's a daikoku's hammer. You shake it, and the money flies all over the place. I forget the name for it. It's daikoku's hammer. I don't know. Suga-san, daikoku no tonkachi mitai na mono, nante imasu ka? Ebisu daikoku no hammer じゃないですね。何？kozuchi. Kozuchi. She says it's called a kozuchi. I should have known that, but I'd forgotten it. Sorry. お金とかなんか出てるんでしょ？カチンカチンカチンと交番お金とか、そう。いや、今ちょうどこの版画が出てますから今説明します。そう。How much did we pay for this? I don't remember. Let me get back to my auction pages here. Where am I? 1 second. Here we are. 15580. There's the auction page. Cost me 15. Well, once I got tax and shipping inside, it was 1,600 yen. The 16,000 yen. Whoa! Look at this. Whoa! There's a story here. You know, in US dollars, it's about $150. For, what is there, 120 odd prints. So we're looking at $1.10 per print. I think I'm okay with that. So they're not in great condition, but I'm okay with that. Whether this is a reference to a specific episode folktale, I don't know, or if it's just a generic idea. I don't know. A has stolen from B, or B is about to steal it from A. I don't know. Somebody else who never saw a real tiger, I think. Whatever, I don't know. They're all over the map. You never know what to expect when you turn the page. This also, too, this will be a real mix of grade levels. And I have no idea, grade 1, grade 2, grade 3, they're categorized, leveled, you know. And also, I have no idea what age kids we would be talking about who would be using this stuff. Are we talking about 6 years old, 10, 12, 15? I don't know, I'm sorry. My guess may be high school level, middle school, high school level, but I really don't know, I'm sorry. It's the rabbit in the moon, of course. The Japanese tradition is that the shapes inside the moon look like a rabbit. More mice. I guess back in that era, you know, you got your rice-based economy, and rats and mice must have been a real thing back in the Meiji and Taisho periods. Our Australian friends are dealing with it this year, but it must have been all the time. Mice must have been a real thing. Oh, people. Unusual. People. No, I mean, whatever, mice and rats these days, I'm sure they're easily controllable, the way they're storing rice in metal containers and stuff like this. I don't think there's any problem with rice eating the food for the people. But when you go back to when the rice was all stored in straw bales and stuff like that, it would have been more of a problem, I think, you know. Okay, there we are. We're halfway through, so I think we'll call it there. Oh, look at the last couple here. What are they doing? Are they just... They're at the seashore. They're not gathering drinking water. Is this part of maybe a salt collection deal where you grab water from the ocean, run it up to the shore, and spread it for gathering salt? They're not fishing, I don't believe. But in that kind of weather, I don't know. My first guess would be for salt, but I don't know. And then to finish off this half of the book anyway, here we go. It's another reflection on Ebis and Daikoku, two of the seven lucky gods. And Daikoku is always carrying this giant sack full of money or whatever. Okay, as I said, that's half of it, and of course the book then goes, you go back through the other side of it all the way. Whether we'll look at that next time or not, I don't know, but I have got to get to work now, so that's enough for today. A treasure, a wonderful, wonderful little treasure. It'll be photographed. Probably it won't be photographed till after we get them off the book, because if we photograph it like this, we're just going to get streaks and stuff. So we'll soak it off first. Maybe Taran-san can come and help one day. Let's try that. We'll soak them off, flatten them, then we'll get them all photographed and ready to go. So there you are. This is Meiji era stuff. This is maybe originally 1890s, somewhere on there, moving into the 1900s. And these were books, again, made for middle school, high school kids to practice painting on. Okay, today's Monday. No, I am now going back to my job of being a printer. The cameras are going to move back into the printing room. And next time you see me on Thursday morning for me, Wednesday night for you guys, next time you see me, I will be again printing. I'll be printing one of our ukiyo-e heroes' portraits prints, the one that depicts the character Ganon. Okay, this has been perfectly timed stream. It worked out really, really, really well. Sorry about the audio problems partway along. What can you do? Thanks again. I'll see you in a few more days. Bye for now. Well, tell you what, let's just do one thing before we go. Let's just do this. Let's peek. Look who's in the printing room. Sugi-san's busy this morning.
バイバイ。
今日何を作ってますか? What is she making today? Oh, top secret. We're not supposed to see that. Top secret. She's working on print number 7 from next year's series.
はい。
You can see the drawing boards on the back here, the various memos up on the wall. Okay, that'll do it. Okay, Sugi-san, thanks very much. Bye for now.
Bye.
Okay. See you next time. Signing off now. Bye-bye.